Is it that breakfast improves our health or that healthier people eat breakfast? This 2019 meta-analysis shows that people who ever skip breakfast have a 22% increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to people who eat breakfast every day. And the more days of the week you skip breakfast, the higher your risk. Skipping breakfast 4 or 5 times per week increases your risk of developing type 2 diabetes by 55%. And this statistical analysis took into account geographical location, age, sex, smoking, alcohol intake, total caloric intake, physical activity, education level, and family history of type 2 diabetes. This 2019 meta-analysis showed that people who routinely skip breakfast are 21% more likely to develop cardiovascular disease and 21% more likely to die from cardiovascular disease compared to people who eat breakfast every day. These authors also calculated that regularly skipping breakfast increased all-cause mortality, an indirect way to measure overall health and longevity, by 32%, which is just a huge effect. Roughly translates to 3 years less of lifespan. And this statistical analysis accounted for age, sex, race and ethnicity, body mass index, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, alcohol intake, total caloric intake, intake of vegetables, fruit, soy, milk and dairy products, fish, nuts, saturated fats, dietary fiber and sodium, overall diet quality as measured by the Healthy Eating Index, smoking status, leisure time sports, sleep duration, perceived mental stress, living alone, education level, physical labor, physical activity, walking duration, marital status, family income level, work schedule, and public health center area. So no, this effect cannot be attributed to poverty or other social determinants of health, nor to diagnoses like type 2 diabetes, decreasing morning appetite. So the natural follow-up question is why? Why does eating breakfast regularly improve health outcomes, no matter what we eat? Well, it's because eating breakfast is an important circadian rhythm regulator, how our body knows whether or not it's day or night and prioritizes different biological processes accordingly, and of our hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which controls our reactions to stress like fight or flight. Basically, we have a healthier stress response and better regulated cortisol levels when we eat breakfast regularly. This in turn regulates blood sugar regulation at subsequent meals, as well as cravings and appetite later in the day. This 2015 study in patients with type 2 diabetes showed that skipping breakfast increased the postprandial glycemic responses to lunch and dinner. This 2002 study showed that people who regularly skip breakfast have higher morning cortisol levels that fall off more slowly than people who eat breakfast regularly. And breakfast skippers had a higher cortisol spike after lunch. This 2015 study showed that females who regularly skip breakfast have disrupted cortisol rhythm, HPA axis overactivation, and elevated blood pressure, even though they had the same levels of perceived stress compared to the females who routinely ate breakfast. Elevated cortisol increases appetite and cravings while making us more disinhibited, meaning we don't have as much control over our eating behaviors. And this 2016 study showed that chronic stress had a major impact on diet quality and eating behaviors in people who regularly skip breakfast, but not in regular breakfast eaters, including reducing overall diet quality, whole grains, fruit, fiber, calcium, potassium, and vitamin B9, folate. And in the people who regularly skipped breakfast, there was a correlation between perceived stress and consumption of empty calories in general, as well as evening intake of added sugars. This 2017 review also highlights the connection between breakfast skippers and low diet quality, including that 74% of regular breakfast skippers do not meet 2/3 of the recommended dietary allowances of vitamins and minerals, compared to 41% of regular breakfast consumers. So yes, the link between breakfast skipping and poor health outcomes is causal, and we have identified at least some of the mechanisms involved.